This is the Rookie Big Board Rookie Profile Series. I am your host, Matt Hicks, the FF Educator, here with John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar. This is the Tyjae Spears Rookie Profile. John, the Tyjae Spears Profile is the patron choice of the week. We asked in the Rookie Big Board Discord, who do you want to hear about? And Tyjae Spears was atop of the list. And for good reason, John. Spears has gained momentum late in his college career. Great Senior Bowl. He's carried that through the combine. There's a lot of excitement around this player out of Tulane.
Matt, I'm glad our patrons chose this player to talk about because I've been waiting all off season. We did preview him a little bit in the Senior Bowl profiles, but for those who did not watch, he is one of the hottest players in this off season, rising up draft boards like crazy, including my own. If you didn't know, the Tulane Green Wave were 12-2 last year in the American Athletic Conference, and they were the Cotton Bowl champs. They were 12-2. And Tyjae Spears is the best Green Wave running back prospect since Matt Forte in 2008. Who is he, Matt? In high school, he was a 3-star prospect in the state of Louisiana. And in his senior year, he totaled 18 touchdowns. Here's the amazing part. He recorded 920 rushing yards, 880 receiving yards for a total of 1,800 yards from scrimmage. Matt, that is going to be a prelude to what the NFL is now seeing after 4 years at Tulane. As a freshman for the Green Wave, he did not get a lot of touches. He wasn't a huge early breakout player. But, Matt, he showed us some promise. He logged 192 yards rushing and 133 yards receiving. Not that bad. The challenge is in 2020, when the Green Wave had expectations for him, he played in only 3 games before he suffered a season-ending injury. But if you look deeper into those numbers that year, Matt, on 37 carries, he averaged 7.4 yards per tote. So there was something underneath those numbers and behind the injury. In 2021, he returned to action and he played in 12 games. He's one of the best waiver wire pickups in college fantasy football, Matt. He finished the season, if you weren't paying attention, he finished the season with 4 of 5 games with over 100 yards rushing, including a career best, Matt, 264 versus Memphis to finish his season. So all of a sudden, Tyjae Spears got on Debbie radar just a little bit, and I featured him last summer as a college fantasy football sleeper. Even in my sleeper column, Matt, I did not expect the year that he put together. He led the American Athletic Conference in almost every meaningful rushing statistic. He was named the Offensive Player of the Year in the AAC. He recorded his first 1,500-yard rushing season on only 229 carries, Matt, averaging 6.9 yards a tote. He had a season-high 22 catches for 256 yards, but Matt, more importantly, he averaged 11.6 yards a catch. He had 9 games over 100 yards rushing, and he concluded his career with 8 consecutive games. And I think you alluded to it earlier. He really started to get draft buzz in that performance against USC in the Cotton Bowl. What a great day, Matt. He rushed for 205 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. He finishes his career 5th all-time leading rusher at Tulane with 2,910 yards. Matt, what's your film breakdown say about the Green Wave runner?
I understand why everyone's excited about Tyjae Spears. He's explosive, John. He bursts right off the line of scrimmage, and he does display that coveted ability to get into the second level of the field quickly. We talk about this all the time, right? But space is tighter in the NFL. So if you're able to get to that second level of the field, there's a lot more room. So if that trait does translate for Spears to the next level, that's really going to help him be a consistent presence on the field and in terms of fantasy football production. What I love about Spears, though, John, is he darts around the field with fast feet. He's such a fun player to watch because of that. It seems like space closes so quickly when he's running towards it, which makes you never feel like he's really down. He pairs that, John, with this slippery lateral agility. I mean, he's able to move east and west in short space very easily, and he will slide past defenders. Now, it's important always, right, to pull kind of out of the scheme as much as you can, right, because he's playing AAC defender. So you don't want to read too into that, but it's nice to see. It's better than not seeing it. And he's a reliable pass catcher with some good yards after catch upside. Multiple examples on him tape of being able to turn upfield and gain extra yards after the catch. Now, John, in terms of his downside here, I do think he has limited play strength. We originally had Tyjae Spears listed under 200, and it was a rare example of a player coming to the Senior Bowl and weighing more than he was listed at. I believe he was listed in like the low 190s, high 180s, if I'm remembering correctly, at Tulane. And I believed it, John. I believed that listing because he doesn't play big, right? He doesn't play strong. And again, he's coming against AAC, American Athletic Conference defenders, right? So I don't think that play strength is going to translate, which isn't the end of the world. It might just pigeonhole him into certain types of roles in the NFL, right? Like, this isn't a guy that I can outwardly right away project for 250 plus touches necessarily. And the other thing we have to keep in mind here when it comes to his background here is we have at least one confirmed ACL injury. And I say at least one confirmed. I've heard unconfirmed that there is a second injury to that same knee, maybe not the same level of severity, but I know we have at least one. So it could be a situation here where post-Indy, he was evaluated by medical staffs. He may be off some teams' boards. You know, every team handles that differently. So that may affect his NFL draft capital. And we'll circle back to that here, John, at the end of the episode. But before we do that, I want to talk about his stats.
I do believe one of the most important aspects you just mentioned, before the Senior Bowl, he was listed at under 200 pounds. And Matt, you know, in my model, and when I look at size and weight and BMI, that 200 mark is very important. Right now, he's 204, so I'm very happy. I'm not really worried about a player over 204. Yeah, in a perfect world, 215 for every running back, but over 200 is important, and he's 5'10", so you have a really nice BMI. And the one thing that I loved about him, rewatching tape this week, remember, Matt, I've talked about Spidey sense in the open field. When Tyjae Spears breaks the second level so he gets past the linebackers, Matt, some of the angles and how he avoids safeties down the field, and he finds these open lanes. I mean, he really is good 15 to 20 yards down the field. I love that about him when I watch the tape. Now, the other numbers in my model, 2,910 career rushing yards. I really like that. But more importantly, Matt, 6.8 yards per rush. He is explosive, and some of that's that Spidey sense. He all of a sudden will go from a 10-yard gain to a 30-yard gain or a touchdown, an explosive touchdown. And it's there in the numbers. Scrimmage yards. He showed us this year, Matt. 1,837 yards from scrimmage. He was the bell cow for the Tulane football team. 29% of the scrimmage yards dominator. I love that. So my model really likes this young man. The 48 receptions. In a perfect world, he would have had over 50. But he did miss some time as a sophomore. And Matt, the green wave, don't throw the ball to the running back. Context matters. Michael Pratt is a running quarterback. So instead of the quick check down, he might just take off and run, which limits Tyjae Spears' number of receptions. But he's a good receiver, Matt. I'm not worried about that. My last concern in everything, I've talked about it a little bit, my only thing that challenges me, but I have him in the top 7 right now in my rankings. Among the top 72 PPR fantasy football running backs in the last 3 years, only 17 of 72 are from the group of 5 or lower. But that's 24%. So it's not as bad as the 200 pound mark. So he does have a chance coming from a group of 5. And I'll say in general, if the NFL likes a group of 5 running back, Matt, they tend to hit. So if we get that day 2 draft capital, 2 things I like. That means the knee is okay, the medicals are cleared, and the NFL likes him as a prospect despite coming from a group of 5. Matt, what should the fantasy footballers know about Tyjae Spears?
Yeah, John, I think he's right on that line here. I do have him projected out to day 3 early. That's picks 103 to 176. That's rounds 4 and 5 of the NFL draft. I am worried, how many boards is he on right now? And, John, I've done more 7-round mock drafts than I'm willing to admit at this point in time. And more, I'm just seeing the need at the running back position with how deep the group is. I'm seeing, more and more guys are getting pushed to that round 3 or day 3, I should say, consistently for me. Regardless, John, I think he's going to have an ADP in Superflex rookie drafts of 205 to 208 because just like we mentioned, this was the patron choice. People are excited about Tyjae Spears. And as we've talked about, we should be excited about Tyjae Spears, right? So I have him projected out to a 6'6 rookie big board rating. That's flex filler. That's somebody who's going to be more of a running back 3-4. And it really is because of that volume that I was talking about. He's an exciting player for me. I am out on him at that price. He falls to the 3rd round. That's when I want to take the type of player that I'm describing here. I currently have his fantasy football value comp as Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire, of course, is on a downspin. I do expect him to bounce back. So I'm a little bit higher on Edwards-Helaire. So I wouldn't, this isn't a negative. Maybe you want to comp him to Kenny Gainwell a little bit more as like a positive version of this for most folks for this range right here. So a good player, not the first running back in your lineup, like sliding in and week out, but certainly somebody who you want on your bench. And you want to be able to rotate in as bye weeks and injuries pop up on your roster. John, it is a big week for the rookie big board. The rookie guide is now out, 96 pages, including a full page dedicated to Tyjae Spears. You can go in and check it out, get our rankings, get access to the Discord, all that great stuff. Head on over to patreon.com/rookie big board. And as always, we appreciate you checking out this episode of the Rookie Big Board.